a year ago at Coverings,
Mm.
and I really enjoyed getting to know you there. You seem to have a different style, a different kind of look and approach to your business. Do you mind kind of sharing what the Tile Group is?
Yeah. So when I originally started the company, when I named it the Tile Group, my hope was actually to build kind of a tile community inside of one local. What I realized as a business owner when I first started off, 15 years ago, I was learning and I was becoming a pretty good technician, but I was not a good business person. I wouldn't call customers back. I'd get too busy. I wouldn't invoice on time. I wouldn't have contracts. My gosh, the first couple of years I didn't have any contracts. Everything was a hope and a prayer and from someone's word. And so I realized I wasn't the only person. Lots of people go into the trades and they just don't run a good business because the fact is you can't be a full-time salesman and a full-time installer and a full-time accountant and a full-time estimator and so on and so forth, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
the guys that are one-man operations, I wanted to partner with them and say, hey, let me, as a tile group, kind of be a part. You can still be an independent contractor. I'll get the leads, I'll sell it, I'll educate the customers, get the contract, get a fair price so we're both making money, and let's do this together. And that's the approach. That's still kind of how we're set up, but we're probably 75% employee and about 25% trade partnership.
yeah, yeah. Well, that makes sense, and your story, I mean, it sounds so familiar, sounds just like me, sounds like a lot of people I know, right? We just don't,
Yeah.
we get started and we're struggling. So I'm glad you were able to find some relief there with a business partner and start this and really helping a lot of guys. I know I talked to, some of your subcontractors and they really enjoy working, under the Tile Group. So that is excellent.
Yeah. And then we love working with them. And I tell the guys, you know, everybody has different reasons for getting into business, right? But
Yeah.
all the subs that work on our jobs, I never nickel and dime them. I pay them more than I as much as I possibly can because I
Yeah.
want everybody to be happy, and the relationship means 1,000 times more to me than milking guys for making every money on every project. So
Yeah.
it's been fun, and I get to meet a lot of guys, and we host barbecues and parties and stuff like that with all other independent contractors around the area, and just kind of trying to continue to steadily build that community.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No, it makes a lot of
yeah.
sense. It makes a lot of sense. Together we're stronger. You must see a lot of jobs, a lot of different, tile come and go with all your subcontractors and employees, all the jobs you're, managing and
Yeah.
contracting. What are some of your favorite trends in the industry right now?
Um, well, I view a lot of tile. Again, everybody has a different reason of getting into tile installation. Some people are really passionate about the industry and love the artistic aspect of it. I'll be straight up honest. I don't like the artistic aspect of it. I think it's fun. We do some creative things. So the trends, I like the trends of that allow for me as a business creating a niche and making money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Just to be real, it's sometimes you get into these crazy, even if you're just doing chevron or herringbone, decorative strips and borders and windows, it's like the amount of money that and time it takes to charge for that. Some people don't realize it, and I end up losing a project.
yeah.
So I guess that's the boring way of saying I don't like trends, other than the fact that if it's a trend like an ugly trend, in 10 years I'll get to redo it. So
There you go. There you go. That's a good way to look at it.
yeah.
And a different way. What are you passionate about in the tile industry right now? What really drives you?
I like the business model that I have, and I like the challenge of business. And so I also why I got into business in the first place is I like relationships and building relationships with people. I mean, it might sound weird, but what I enjoy most about my job and running a business is my partnerships, is my business partner, is my employees, and again, I don't treat them or view them like employees. They're partners, and
Yeah.
building relationships with the different reps and retailers and all that stuff in my area. And so, business standpoint, I'm looking forward to duplicating this right now. We've got Milwaukee pretty well taken care of. Obviously, this whole COVID thing puts a little bit of a slowdown to the process, but I'm hoping my business plan in the next year and a half is to be in Madison and duplicate this, with the software that we run and just, all the pieces that we have. I'm looking forward to that challenge.
Yeah. Zame asks in California, no, Wisconsin, correct? Madison, Wisconsin.
Yep. Yeah. Madison, Wisconsin. Right now we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Madison's only an hour and a half away. Where
are you, with your business the way it is, and you mentioned the COVID-19 things and things of that nature. I know you're not really slowing down. What are you working on right now? I'm curious.
Yeah. So right now I'm actually about ready to pump out a whole bunch of online content. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is I plan on creating some type of YouTube channel. I bought the equipment. I'm getting everything tested up and setted to help homeowners learn how to install tile themselves. I know that might sound counterintuitive to running a tile business, but
yeah, what are you thinking?
Well, the truth is that people that want to install tile themselves aren't my client anyways. Mm-hmm. And most of them aren't. And if, who knows, maybe they get educated and they realize, wow, there's a lot more to this than I thought. And they say, I want to hire a professional. And then, hopefully they would call the person that was giving them some of the information. But also want to tell a little bit of my story on I tried opening a flooring store once upon a time. I also do have a design build company that actually has funded the building of the tile group. So there's a story that I'd like to tell to help other business owners that maybe wanted to get into distribution of product. I've done that. We were the first and only contractor, USG, from what I was told, USG opened up for distribution. And so, I learned what that process was and what it looks like. And I opened up a flooring store and had 2 locations, and I lost a ton of money. So there's obviously, you can, depending on what your passion is, you can go different routes. And I like to share that story. So,
yeah. So it sounds like you're going to have 2 different really channels or 2 different kind of videos speaking to both the tile contractor and the potential homeowner, educating the client. Question from the audience: what software were you referring to? Was that proprietary, the Tile Group software, or?
It's not. I'd be happy to share it. So when I started off and I realized I was going to build this thing, I did a lot of research. It's a service-based software. There's lots of them out there. This one specifically is called Kickserv. That's I think it's KICKSERV, not E. Kickserv. And basically it was built out by a plumbing company for service work. But it does everything. It starts from job entry, CRM, to estimating. When you send your estimates, that you can see when your customers viewed the estimate, you can follow up, you can make notes, and then you can have them sign. They've made it better and better. And then of course it goes into production. All of my employees and subcontractors have the app. They can look at it. They can take pictures of progress during the job. Put in expenses, and then there's job costing at the end. So I know what my margins are in every project. Mm-hmm. So it really takes the business from start to finish all the way through. You got to work around some of the pieces that aren't perfect for tile, right? It was built out for plumbing.
Yeah.
But you can manage it. And obviously that was a hard process to get guys to actually put information in and to make it work. And you lose a lot of efficiency and time and money implementing it, but it's worth its weight in gold now. I mean, it pretty much runs itself. So,
okay.
It's a service-based app, subscription-based, and we got locked in, pretty low 3-4 years ago. So, which is nice.
Well, thanks for sharing that. It sounds like that's been really powerful for your business.
Absolutely.
What are some common industry-wide challenges that you've kind of had to overcome, and maybe you can share and would like other people to know about, how you overcame that?
Yeah, the biggest industry-wide challenges I'd say are I think a lot of us would agree, misinformation, uneducated customers, uneducated contractors and builders and architects and designers. I mean, the people that are selling this to the homeowner themselves. We come in with certain information and people don't want to hear it. That what is deflection? Why do I have to care about that? Well, I'm not installing this stone on that floor. It's not happening. Well, then I'll find someone else.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Obviously, hopefully the conversation doesn't go that way, and it typically doesn't, but we lose out on a lot of work because people don't care. They're not educated. They don't know. And sure enough, 1, 2, 3, 5 years later, all the grouts cracking and tiles breaking. And then I get the phone call. So I'd say that's the biggest industry-wide challenge, is just education to people to actually care about it. Tile is, as we all know, is the most resilient surface possibly out there, or the most gorgeous surface. And but has to be installed correctly. So but I'm preaching to the choir. What am I doing here?
Well, hey, I mean, I know you're starting your YouTube channel. Have you found any other resources to point potential, clients, potential, consumers to?
What do you mean by that?
Resources to help educate them on the realities of a tile installation.
Oh, absolutely. I think the NTCA has done a great job. I know they have lots of resources choosing a contractor, right? I use that in my sales process all the time. Here's a sheet on recommending when you're choosing a tile contractor. If for some reason you find you want to work with somebody else, I'd consider these thoughts.
Yeah.
And of course, I should say nobody, a few people in my market that meet those requirements, right? So, I definitely can point them in that direction. Make sure it's a certified tile installer. We used to only have 4 in the Milwaukee area. Now we have 12, which is great.
Yeah.
That's one of the resources that we give currently, and I think is great for us out there. Yeah. And obviously, from a business perspective, it's great to jump on your podcasts and dig into some of the meat of running a business. Yeah,
appreciate that. You must have some funny or not so funny, terrible experiences in the field with all those jobs. Can you share some of your worst experiences or crazy stories in the field?
I mentioned I enjoy people. I love people. So the craziness and the stupidity that we come against as business owners, it's more comical. It's more fun. It doesn't bother me as much. I'd say the worst ones are the ones that you lose a lot of money on.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we're set up in a way that our payment schedule protects us, so that if we do have a crazy or unreasonable customer, I have the ability to say, you know what, let's just part ways. So
yeah.
But nothing really sticks out to me. Typically you just get unreasonable people.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate when it happens.
How did you get to that point where you can just let it roll off? And I want to encourage anybody, this is your last chance, throw a question up in the Q&A box, please. How do you get to that point where, you don't take that personal? Because I know that is so hard to do. If somebody questions your price even, or something wrong on the job, how do you get to that point? Can you help us with that?
One of the questions that you had wrote down for me to review was, I think, what was a resource that helped you inside a business,
sure.
Right? And I'll jump onto that question with that, piggyback on that is, there's a book that I live by. And it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a very popular book, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have talked about it. I'm on my 9th time listening to it.
Okay.
And it goes to 10 and it goes to 11, and I'll never stop, because there's core principles inside of there of understanding people.
Yeah.
That once you understand people better, which, to be able to win people or influence people to the way you see things, obviously you have to understand their core needs and what they desire. You start to realize people are programmed incorrectly, culturally. It could be, abusive. There's a whole list. There's a whole bunch of reasons why people do what they do. They just don't know. And that's fine. And so if you understand that as an individual, it's helpful in everything, not just tile and business. And that's with marriage and relationships and so on and so forth. So that book, I will never stop reading until the day I die, because the principles, it's not only keeping the principles, it's remembering them, reminding yourself. And how many times you remember, oh yeah, that's why it's so important to remember someone's name.
Yeah.
There's nothing sweeter than a person hears than what their name is. And so, you forget about that sometimes. Yeah, that's right. I have to address them by their name. I write it down, their customer's name, their dog's name. Those things, from sales to relationships and all that stuff, helps out. So yeah, that's the pointer. I'd say read that book. it's a principle. There's principles in there that never get old, ever.
That's a great, tip. Thanks for sharing that book with us. I've read it once, but I think I'm going to take you up on and follow your advice there. You're a good example. When I met Derek last year at Coverings, I was a ball of nerves, right? It was my first Coverings as a podcaster, and I was running around like a nut, interviewing people. And I met Derek, and we had a great conversation, and it was just like I was hanging out with a Zen master. So he's definitely onto something. So appreciate that, Derek. And hey, thanks for taking the time for this interview. We do have another interview. We're going to network for about 15 minutes. And then at 5 after 3, we'll hear from Chris Kane from Tech. All right, Derek.
Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.